So, because eyes can be deceptive. Eyes can be very deceptive. Sometimes you look at somebody and you conclude. It's called judgmental behavior. On one Ekadashi day, one brahmachari was telling, he went with one assistant to one particular some center, a student youth center. So that devotee was telling, "Oh, today's Ekadashi, we should make some sweet." They used to have a Jagannath Baladev Subhadra in their center. He wanted to make for Jagannath Baladev Subhadra sweet, and Prabhuji said, "What is the need? By the time we reach, it'll be 8 o'clock. 7:38 it'll be. You just relax." But he repeatedly requested permission, and Prabhuji thought maybe he is very eager to eat carrot halwa, because he's very expert in making carrot very nicely fried and with a lot of sweet and everything. So he wants to eat it, seems, so he wants to make. So this he anyway gave permission. When they reached the center, this fellow made and he offered to Jagannath and then offered to all the inmates. And he didn't take. So the senior was surprised. "Hey, Prabhu, you didn't take?" He said, "Prabhuji, I am trying to do Nirjal today, Ekadashi." I thought he said. And immediately the senior fellow thought, I misjudged him. I thought that he is preparing to eat for himself. So how many of you, with your eyes, you have seen something and concluded, later on you found it to be wrong? Correct, no? Yeah, therefore, you have to follow the Shruta Ikshita Path. You hear and accept. And like, for example, you are hearing, now you have heard already that Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is lying in the Garbhodak portion. And from his navel comes the lotus. And on the top of the lotus, there is Brahma, Satyaloka. Then all the other planets are arranged. Now, if you see in our telescopes, can we see that lotus? Can we see the stem? Can we see Brahma sitting in the top? Or when you look below, can you see the Lord Vishnu lying in the Garbhodak ocean? Why you can't see? What is the reason? Yeah? Because of the defect in the eye. Okay. Actually, Brahma had proper eyes also, and he had a body of intelligence. But in the dawn of creation, he got off from the lotus, went down in the stem, and stood at the navel of Vishnu. Still he could not see Vishnu. He's standing right at the navel. He's looking all around, only black everywhere. Then he thought, where am I? Who am I? Why am I born? What's my duty? Then he went up again, and he sat in the lotus, and then did 100 celestial years of tapas, tapa. He heard that. And when he opened his eyes, everywhere it was lit up. First he saw the pinkish lotus feet of Vishnu. Then he saw the ankle bells. Then he saw the pitambar. Then he saw the jeweled belt. Then he saw the Kaustubhamani and Vajayantimala and in the four hands of the Lord Vishnu carrying Shankachakra Gadapadma and smiling face with Mukut, Kundal. All the truth was revealed to him. The whole Vaikuntha was revealed to him at that time. So that means the Shastra say you have to do tapasya and clear your eyes before you can see. Correct? No? So he heard the two letters, tapa, through his ears he heard. Not only Lord gave him the instruction of tapa, he gave him the meaning of tapa also, what to do. He followed that. Now when His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj came to Pune, we were asking about this lotus thing. So he was telling another interesting thing. He said the universe is same, but it will look differently for different people. And then Maharaj was telling that if a yogi goes through the Jagrati, Swapana, Shushupti and Samadhi stage, when he reaches the stability in Samadhi for a prolonged period of time, he can see the whole universe in that form. Which form? Where Vishnu is lying and the navel, lotus is coming and lotus. And that is the vision of a yogi which is given in scripture. Like that he said. So actually, first of all, we have to get that vision of a yogi to see that. And if we don't have the vision of a yogi, we will see something else. Maybe we can see a little bit of detail of one portion of the universe. That's all. Correct, no? So therefore, one requires spiritual advancement and one requires knowledge by hearing. Both the things. Yeah. So read where we left. Who was reading yesterday? Yeah. You can take it? Yeah, yes.
The Vedas are considered to be the mother, and Brahma is called the grandfather, the forefather, because he was the first to be instructed in the Vedic knowledge. In the beginning, the first living creature was Brahma. He received this Vedic knowledge and imparted it to Narada and other disciples and sons, and they also distributed it to their disciples. In this way, the Vedic knowledge comes down by disciplic succession. It is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that Vedic knowledge is understood in this way. If you make experimental endeavor, you come to the same...
Yeah, what is the verse in Bhagavad Gita? Which says the Vedic knowledge is understood in this way from Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyas. Evam parampara praptam, imam rajarishya vidhu. That's what. Yeah, yes.
If you make experimental endeavor, you come to the same conclusion. But just to save time, you should accept. If you want to know who your father is, and if you accept your mother as the authority, then whatever she says can be accepted without argument. There are three kinds of evidence: Pratyaksha, Anuman, and Shabda. Pratyaksh means direct evidence. Direct evidence is not very good because our senses are not perfect.
And then Prabhupada gives an example. You see the sun daily, looks like a small disk, but actually it's very far, far, far larger than many of the planets. So what's the use of us seeing? So we read the books and then you understand about the sun, he's saying. You get knowledge. Or directly perceiving the sun is of no use. It looks like a small 1 rupee coin from here when you see, as he says. So then there are people who do Anumana, he says, that so he quotes example of Darwin's theory, maybe like this, maybe like that. Darwin himself traveled in a boat to different places to see different species of life. And then he wrote to his friend Dr. Wallace, that I don't think anybody can come to the right understanding of the living forms without resorting to speculation. Like that, he writes that in his book. So therefore he says that if you receive a program guide from the radio station authorities, you accept it. You don't deny it. But if you don't have to make an experiment, because it is received from authoritative sources. For example, say one cobbler is sitting on the end of the street, and then he's telling you that I think there is going to be an earthquake, he says, for example. You ask him, why? Why are you saying earthquake will be there? I saw a small crack on the road, so I'm a little doubtful. Will you take it seriously? Will you immediately run home, not going to college? On the other hand, there are weather forecast people in the same manner. There are also seismograph. They call it seismograph is actually for the amplitude of the earthquakes and all. So they do some research and they make an announcement to all the, all over India or all over Maharashtra, whatever they announce it. Just like now the corona, we look for official statements, we call it. Official statement is different from the rumors. And rumors come in WhatsApp, but official statement comes from top down, correct now? So mostly rumors frighten people, but they have no element of truth often, or they are exaggerated too much, correct now? So you know which one to take seriously, which one is authoritative. Same Prabhupada is saying here, that if the Vedas are giving authoritative knowledge, we accept that. Why Anumana is defective also? Say, for example, you see a smoke at the top of a mountain, and immediately you conclude that there must be fire. Correct, no? Like one time I was standing I was taking a treatment in Bhakti hospital many years ago. So from the window, I was seeing there are many mountain ranges there. So I was telling one of the friends there, hey, come here, look at the evening, is so pleasant. And at the top of the mountain, there are beautiful clouds. The mountains are touching the clouds. He said, Prabhuji, that is not cloud, that is pollution. Smoke arising from the pollution of the industries. And then I observed carefully from one industry, goof, 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 it was coming into the air. So much pollution. It looks like a very beautiful cloud. From a distance, it looks beautiful. It's all pollution. And the cloud I saw was way above. This was only pollution cloud. So sometimes we may look at something and do Anuman of something. But Anuman may be totally different than what it is. So what you generally conclude, if there is a smoke, there should be fire. Correct now? But sometimes what happens, after you put off a fire, smoke comes. You've seen that? Like, sometimes people throw, if there was some thing burnt, in order to stop it, they throw a lot of water. After it's put off, then from that smoke comes also. Then our conclusion that, behind smoke there is fire, is it correct? Then it becomes wrong. Correct, no? So, or sometimes it so happens that a mountain has some, from the cracks of the mountain, some poisonous gases are coming out. Sometimes it happens like that. So you didn't create any fire, nor is there any fire in the mountain or in the top, but the gases are coming due to the leaking of the gas from the mountain cracks. So that is also a smoke. So I am telling you, for one thing, there could be many reasons. So Hanuman is actually a kind of hypothesis. So it's like a theory. People say, they make, maybe, for example, when they looked at the Venus, Mars and Venus, these two planets are next to Earth, from Earth, Mars, this side and that side, Venus. So when they looked at the Venus, they said, Venus, it appears that it is rotating like this. If it is like this, from the sun, like this, it rotates. Why? How did they know that like that it rotates? Because this side appears to be completely frozen. That side appears to be hot. This means one side there will always be day. Another side there will always be night. So man concluded like this. And he said this side is completely frozen with thick ice, this side of the Venus. Like that they concluded. Next year, one scientist came and said, that is not exactly ice, that is boiling oceans, he said, which are producing, foaming gases in the top of the ocean. That is making the covering of half the planet. That was his research. Try to imagine, where is the frozen ice and where is the boiling ocean? It is just diametrically opposite. And just 1 year later, this fellow is publishing a paper, and both got award for publishing. And the fact, nobody knows. Nobody's gone there, nobody knows. You can see that. So, and it goes on. I have also read, first they said life on Mars. Sorry, no life on Mars, they said. And they gave some reasons. And then they said there is a life on Mars. 1 year, 2 years later, they said, we have found out Mars is reddish in color and these characteristics are there. Therefore, we feel that these germs, these living forms could be there. So why I'm saying this? In this way, Anumana is simply like a joke, predicting. Actually, based on some observation, they write. Correct? Now, maybe we made this observation. For example, when the ninth planet, Pluto, they said it's ninth planet. We all have studied, correct? No? And after that, they said the planet's order, they changed it in the books. It became seventh planet or something like that. Again, they made it eighth planet. Again, they made it ninth planet. Going back and forth. Finally, they found problem is it's going in between the orbit. Orbit of Pluto is between Neptune and Saturn, Neptune. In between the Pluto goes, while it's not exactly concentric, all the circles. One of them goes like that. So why I'm telling you, year after year things are changing because it's all Anuman Lagana. Like the Prabhupada is saying. So now these are all about what you are observing in the world. You may believe or you may not believe, but what happens about Vedas? The Vedas are telling you about life itself. Why living forms exist in this world? Who are we in the first place? Where do we come from? Where do we go? All the vital questions are answered. One of the beauty of the Vedas, you'll find, generally in the school textbooks, you study about the past and the present. Do you study about the future? But Vedas predict about the future also. This is one thing. Another thing you find in the history textbooks, like Yuan Chuang or somebody came. How many years ago he came? Yuan Chuang? Some few hundred years ago, Yeah. So he took some account of some kings and everybody and we kept it now. So beyond certain range, the history stops because we don't have any record. But the Vedas are going to millenniums. When did Ramayana happen? Millions and millions of years ago. They on this side and this side they are going very far, and the age is cyclic. Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali. And how many cycles have passed? Brahma's daytime, if you see, Sahasra Yuga, Paryantam, Mahadhyas. And there is the record of Srimad Bhagavatam also comes from very, very Satya Yuga and such kinds of things, correct? No? So the Vedas have very vast time, which they are describing. And also they are not limited like our history books. That's one thing. And the Vedas can also tell you about future occurrences, what is going to come. Like Kali Yuga, foreseeing the effects of Kali Yuga, Bhagavatam talks about it in the 12th canto, correct? No? What do you call it? Future predictions of Kali Yuga, which we are seeing to be coming true. You can see that. Not only that, the Vedas actually talk of truth, which is not only pertinent to your one planet Earth, it's talking about all the 14 planetary systems. What Indra Deva did in Indraloka, what Brahma did in Brahmaloka, in Agasura, after that Brahma, what happened in Brahmaloka, that is mentioned. That means within this planet also, within this Brahmand also, we have limited information in science. Actually, even Mars and all, no man has gone. They only sent a unmanned probe. Because the Prabhupada says that the planets are so far, for a man to go and come back and give the news, it will be 800 years. Prabhupada writes in one purport, he writes. So, nobody will be alive to see him. First of all, he won't be alive first. Correct? Now, how will he go and come first? Correct? No? So, if you want information about places which you cannot access, or which access will take you 800 years, should you wait? Like Satyaloka and all these things. Now, Vedas not only give information about, topmost to bottommost planet, they give information beyond this Brahmand also, about the spiritual world. Like you see, Urdu Mula Mother Shakam, Bhagavad Gita gives information about that world. So, the Vedas, here comes the most important point. The Vedas are giving you vast amount of knowledge and information, which otherwise science has very little, insignificant amount of knowledge is able to give, number one. Number two, I was telling you that correct. The Vedic wisdom slowly proven to be true by the scientists. Correct, no? What they once upon a time thought that these are all, bogus. They never had a faith. But now it's becoming more and more true. The more time passes. In those days, Surya Namaskar only Indians would do. When Westerners would come here, they may be wondering what these guys are doing. But now it has become very prevalent all over the world, more than India outside. People are learning like that. Correct, no? Even the Muslims are learning in Gulf. There are Swamijis from India going and teaching there also. Because they understood it's not a question of your religion or my religion. It's a question of good health. People are ready to accept. Because these are all mentioned in the Vedic literature long, long ago. And not only that, you find that the people are slowly recognizing that everything about Vedic is good. Like for example, you find Vedic food versus modern junk food. Like the Vedic marriage, where the family, like India, if you see, for example, one family means husband, wife, and son, daughter, and then husband's mother, father. So this makes it one unit. And it is a self-sufficient unit. And anybody in this unit, how many people totally? 6 people. In the 6, one gets into problem, other 5 are there to take care. Correct? No? It's completely self-sufficient. Whereas in the West, This type of joint, family is not there. So because of which what happens, a man impregnates a woman and runs away. Then the woman becomes dependent on the government. So they are giving support. Some governments are giving support to hundreds and thousands of women, pregnant women, because she has nobody to, care for her. So you find this system is coming from where? Vedas. Varnashrama, no. Correct? No, Varnashrama teaches Grihastha. How Brahmachari should be, Grihastha should be, Vanaprastha should be. I am telling you, once we made 25 topics we made, Vedic versus modern. Like Vedic prosperity versus modern day scarcity. That's one topic. Now, Vedic dressing versus modern dressing. Vedic marriage versus modern marriage. And Vedic knowledge versus scientific knowledge. In the modern day science knowledge. Yeah. Yeah. And similarly, so I had made one list, a complete list. You can compare that. Actually, that can be one project also. Correct? Now, Janmashtami at some time, if it is devotees make this, we can make a display for people to watch. Correct? No? Vedic versus modern. So you can give, for example, modern is what? Go to gym. Correct? Now, if you go to gym, what happens? Your biceps come out. You look like a lion. Correct? No? This portion becomes very shrunk, and the top portion becomes very, yeah. And then after some time, you became lazy. You could not go. The whole thing becomes loose. You've seen that? So, although you have a lot of biceps, why do people want such biceps? No? People, used to raise their shoulder like this. Why? Even I used to go also to gym before. In my school days, I didn't know the difference between going to gym and doing yogasanas. Go to gym and offer obeisances to Hanumanji, and go and do this. You have to do rods. You've seen that, no? So generally, people go to gym to show off to opposite sex. How? Look at my, biceps like that. Yeah. Whereas yogasanas are actually internally, externally benefiting. Correct, no? And that is a proven thing. Nowadays, so many yogasanas you have, one for each disease also. For this disease, you do these yogasanas. So, and they have found out that, therefore, all over the world, instead of gym, nowadays people are doing yoga, I can see. Why I am telling you, you can do a survey like this, Vedic versus modern. When I find that file, I will pass it on. It will be very nice if PDC puts up a table. We did one thing we did. We put one table of modern day society, snapshot from sky, how it looks. Another table of snapshot of Vedic life, how it would look. So that's a beautiful thing it was. I don't know which year we made that. Some years ago we had made that. So in the Vedic thing, you find big temple, Gopuram, in the middle, and there is Brahmanas area, and Kshatriya, king's palace, and Vaishya, Shudra, and elephants are there, horses are there, everything for the king, and everything. And, the streets are trees on either side, very beautiful houses and everything. And modern day, they had shown, that is very nicely they showed industries, factories giving out pollution, and plenty of cars. And some of the cars are toppled and fallen on the side also. All that is shown modern day, how it looks. So by making this kind of thing, very nice display, we can show to people. See this and see that, we can show that. So the idea is this, that, by comparing the modern versus Vedic, many, not just one or two things. You see that modern day civilization is the exploitative civilization. And the Vedic civilization is actually, so we can say Vedic civilization is like Yashoda, modern civilization is like Putana. You can say like that. You name a field, I can tell you what exploitation is going on in that field. Modern times, you can see that. So the Vedic life teaches you Seva Vritti. Always, every activity you do, like an old man, 90-year-old man is planting a coconut tree, coconut seed. I asked him, why are you planting now? One man told him, we are already 90. By the time it grows up, you will be gone. He said, I'm making it for my grandchildren. He said, Vedic life is always selfless. And the modern day life is always selfish. What is in it for me? So actually, even our faith in the Vedas can be very easily developed by this. Many of you may be having a question in the mind that we have so many doubts about Vedic literature also. So those doubts will be washed away if you see making this type of comparison. You make teams of devotees and give them. Out of this 25 items, each of you take 3, 3, 4, 4. Correct? No? In a teams of 3, 4 devotees, take it. Thorough research, you do it, and then put it all together, and then make a display kind of thing. You'll be amazed to see. There are many organizations have done the research already. You have to just hook with them and collect from them. Yeah. Read further.
Vedic knowledge is called Shabda Praman. Another name is Shruti. Shruti means that this knowledge has to be received simply by oral reception. The Vedas instruct that in order to understand transcendental knowledge, we have to hear from the authority. Transcendental knowledge is knowledge from beyond this universe.
One important point I forgot to tell while I was talking to you just now. There is something called credibility. Credibility means after you see that Vedic versus modern comparison, in all the 25 cases you found, the Vedic things get victory. The modern thing is knocked out. And And in everything you find that the modern things are problem. You find that. Then after understanding that, your faith develops very deeply about the Vedic items, everything. Then you will also hear things in the Vedic literature which are unprovable, which are beyond the range of senses, which even if you question, nobody can give us answer. For example, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming to Jagannath Puri. So Kashi Mishra's place is given to him for staying, called Gambira. So there, when Maharaj enters Gambira first time, Kashi Mishra comes there and offers obeisances and says, "My Lord, thank you for accepting my house to stay." It was an empty house. He stays in the neighborhood. It was another house he had. So he had given to Mahaprabhu. So as soon as offered obeisances and got up, Mahaprabhu showed him a 400 form. Immediately he gave a darshan. So Kashi Mishra got the darshan for a few moments. After Mahaprabhu vanished that form and again showed the sannyasi form. Now, these kind of truths are mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. You will not be able to prove it. So then how do you put faith in it? Anybody can say? Whether this happened or not. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is writing it down. How can you trust that such a thing happened? Anybody? Yeah.
Actually, any aspect of history cannot be proved, Prabhuji.
Many aspects of history, yeah. Even if it is mundane history also. Correct.
Somebody may tell that Gandhiji has existed.
Yeah,
somebody cannot prove it also in that sense.
Correct.
Like somebody may tell
something may be very recent. Say there may be some photos or videos of Gandhi, but if you take something 200 years ago, 300 years ago, we have no evidence for that. Okay, that's good. Fine, thank you. Also, one more reason you can say that whenever you hear things in the scripture which you are unable to accept immediately, one of the things that we should think about is it accepted by Jiva Goswami? Is it accepted by Rup Sanatan? Is it accepted by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What does our current Acharyas say? What Prabhupada says? What Bhaktivinoda Thakur says? Actually, therefore we say Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Sadhus means all these people, coming in disciplic line. And Guru is your own Guru. And then Shastra means scripture. Are they matching? Is something doubtful? Then you don't accept it. If all of them are concluding, confirming, it is true. Like for example, Govardhan. Is Govardhan devotee or is Govardhan Lord? You may have a doubt. So Govardhan actually acts as a devotee of Krishna and serving also. At the same time, he was worshipped as Krishna. And so can I worship Govardhan? Am I allowed to worship? Because how can I be sure that Govardhan is Lord himself? How do you know that? Very simple. Our acharyas have worshipped him. Correct, no? So which acharyas have worshipped? You see, they are authentic acharyas. They have worshipped. So Mahajano Yena Gatasapana. And that is not called blind faith. Because if Ramanuja, like if you see Sripad Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Shankaracharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they all are declaring Krishna to be supreme. Correct, no? So if some boy says that, no, I think Prabhuji Krishna is not supreme, Vishnu is supreme. Okay, that is his opinion. So why I am telling you this, somebody asked my spiritual master about, why you people worship the Murtis. So Maharaj said this, where Madhvacharya worshipped Udupi Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu worshipped Jagannath. Similarly, Ramanujacharya worshipped Ranganath and Shankara worshipped Badrinath. So all acharyas are worshipping and they are taught by their own example. So we follow in their footsteps. Finished. And so that cannot be considered a blind faith because these acharyas are not Chotamata people. Each of them have touched the lives of lakhs of people, so many people, and they are very deeply learned and they present the philosophy in a very cogent manner. So how much faith you have in acharyas, that is another important thing. If you have a very firm faith in acharyas, then for you to accept strange or very difficult truths will not be difficult. You will be able to accept when the Shastras say that. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Within this universe is material knowledge, and beyond this universe is transcendental knowledge. We cannot even go to the end of the universe, so how can we go to the spiritual world? Thus, to acquire full knowledge is impossible.
Yeah. Actually, once scientist, I'll just show you one thing. This one. See, this is called time dilation. I'll just show you briefly. So 2 3 minutes, I'll show you one video. It's coming. So this is about Einstein's theory. Einstein told one theory which was very amazing for the scientists. You see here what he says. Sound is coming?
Einstein's theory of special relativity has fascinated the public for about 100 years. People hear about clocks running at different speeds, objects shrinking, and a myriad of peculiar other effects. And people might be willing to accept those sorts of assertions, but when they start thinking about relativity, they come up with what seems to be paradoxes. And then they begin to doubt the theory because, well, paradoxes. One such paradox is the oft-quoted statement that moving clocks tick more slowly than stationary ones. This is the whole basis of the ideas of interstellar travel, where a person heading at high speed on a spaceship to a distant star ages more slowly than a person stuck on Earth. If that
This is Bhagavatam. This is Bhagavatam. You heard that? Oh, just now. Yeah. See, a person on a high speed on a spaceship to a distant star ages more slowly than a person stuck. So where does it come in Bhagavatam? Ah, correct. Revati's father. What is his name? Kakud. Kakudmuni. Yeah, Kakudmuni. I think Kakudmuni. So.
more slowly than a person stuck on Earth. If that rings a bell, that's the basis of the famous twin paradox of special relativity. I'll actually make a video focusing entirely on the twin paradox, but in this video, I want to really drive home some math that shows you have to be ultra, mega, extremely careful when you claim that there's a paradox in relativity. So let's start with the most common time dilation equation you'll find in a relativity textbook. It is T sub moving equals gamma times T substationary. T sub moving is the time experienced by someone who sees the clock moving. T substationary is someone who doesn't see the clock moving, and gamma is a factor unique to relativity. It's called the Lorentz factor. It is equal to 1 for something not moving and greater than 1 when something is moving. Gamma is simply 1 over the square root of the quantity 1 minus v squared in Einstein's equations. I won't assume that you've seen them as I go through the rest of this video, but what I say here will be a little bit clearer if you've got those two under your belt. Okay, so let's get back to the time equation. What it says is simple.
Shows it. There's one, the same fellow, there's one more video. I don't have the link of that. That video is even more better than this. Anyway, there's an article by Sadaputta Prabhu also on time dilation. Basically, what time dilation says, if you go at the speed of light, then, light is 3 into 8 power 10 power 8 meter per second, yeah, that speed. If you have a rocket, of course, you need a rocket to go at that speed. If you go to very far away planet like Satyaloka or something and come, you will be young. You will not get, that's what Einstein also said. I don't know whether Einstein read Bhagavatam, I don't know, but when he made it was too revolutionary. There is a video in YouTube also, Einstein speaking to the people, and all people are just shocked hearing this new theory. So because he says that as you go away from Earth more and more and more, the time moves very slowly, yeah, and therefore your aging also happens very slow. And then he also expected that when you go beyond the shell of the universe, there is a possibility time doesn't flow at all, and there is no passage of time. You are free from time. Like that he made statement. Why I am telling you these kind of things give you. Actually, Shastras are talking it in Bhagavatam, and same thing these fellows are talking. You will see that many of these things. Yeah. Go ahead.
There is a spiritual sky. There is another nature, which is beyond manifestation and
So another point I wanted to make there. First we were talking about intelligent design. So in those days, when me and Chaitanya Prabhu would be talking about this, the intelligent design seems to be a very simple explanation. Intelligent design means what? Everything in the nature you see has two things. One is there is a design inbuilt in them, and they have to have a purpose. And this is what we say in the device 1. Correct, no? Discover yourself 1, we talk about it. For example, chapati is coming out of the kitchen. Surely there is a Mataji inside. Your mother is making chapati. How do you know? Because it has a design. What is the design? It is circular. Or if it is paratha, it is triangular. Correct, no? Design is there. And another thing, can the chapati exist without a purpose? What is the purpose of chapati? Eating, yeah. There's the purpose of the fan. It has a design. It is supposed to. I asked the fellow, what is the purpose of the fan? He said, the purpose of the fan to rotate. He said, no, that's not the purpose. What is the purpose? To give air. To give air. That's the purpose. The purpose of the bulb. So everything has a purpose, and it has a design also. And you will find that this has a purpose and design made by somebody. Bulb has purpose and design made by somebody. Similarly, everything else you see in nature also is made by somebody. That means the design implies a designer. So later on, what happens? You know, so this is a very solid argument against atheism, correct? No? Because it establishes a creator. So what the atheists argued, they said the human body, two things they said. One thing they said is the human body actually has certain vestiges. Huh? So what is the meaning of vestige? Vestige means useless parts of the body. Huh? So because these parts are useless, if a creator made this body, he wouldn't make any particular part of the body useless. Huh? Because it is appearing useless, therefore it doesn't appear to be designed by somebody. That's one thing they said. Another thing they argued is actually DNA is the ultimate thing. From DNA, everything else, DNA is like a template. From that, everything else comes, they argued. And at that time, this intelligent design theory was given a death blow and driven out. Huh? And all scientists stopped accepting intelligent design. They all said that, yes, this seems to be the best explanation. So then Darwin became acceptable, and then the DNA theory became acceptable. Huh? The DNA is everything, DNA is ultimate. Huh? Everywhere people started using even for company names, DNA and all that. Huh? We make everything and things like that. But eventually, a group of scientists researched and found out that even the philosophy, I mean, even the theory that the early day living forms were of a very simpler molecules and they became more complicated over a period of years. That whole theory was, defeated. Then they understood, how did the DNA come in the first place? Okay, if DNA may be a template for the other things and all, but how did the DNA only come? So then there were a lot of researchers. Finally, they have come back to intelligent design now. How intelligent design all over the world is most acceptable. So when you go with device one, you will be most welcome there. Huh? Because this is they agreed before, they didn't agree, then now again it's very, very acceptable. There is no, which means no design can exist without a designer. That's the point. So what I'm saying, the Vedic truths are all like that only. Vedas say something and people laugh at it. For example, woman should be submissive to the husband. She should wear a sari. She should be a homemaker. There should be early marriage between boy and girl. All these things are said in the Vedas. And modern people protest against every one of this. You will see that. But if you read proper purport, it becomes clear. Why early marriage? So that boy, girl will not do adultery with anybody else. Although they marry, they don't live together. Girl lives with her parents and boy lives with his parents. Boy is thinking, I have a wife now, I have to do a job. Becomes responsible. Girl thinks, I have a husband, I can't think of anybody else. So she is peaceful, he is peaceful. Correct, no? In the 18 years, they come together. In 2-3 years, they beget some 2-3 children. And finished. After that, they become peaceful. Now people, by the time they are 30, they are like dogs going to a dozen people. And before 30, you can see that. So we can prove every one of the Vedic policies and principles are so profound and so sound. You can see that. It's a very mature wisdom, extremely mature wisdom in every aspect. I just told you one small aspect. So one should see this. One should study the Vedic literature and compare. And you'll see multiple aspects of life like this. Oh, the Vedas are talking about three gunas. There is no knowledge of three gunas in material science at all. The Vedas talking about three gunas so much in depth like that. So after you develop faith in these 25 items, then your credibility becomes very solid. And another credibility you need to have is in acharyas. I told you. Great. If you don't know, you have to study about the acharyas. Each of those very great acharyas, what kind of influence they had over the whole world. So have firm faith in acharyas, have firm faith in the modern versus Vedic, compare and see for yourself. There is so much research available nowadays. And then once that faith is firm, then the Vedas may say many things which are not immediately provable, but still you can accept because you know for sure that Vedas can see what I cannot see. Vedas can present something which is coming from, it's the word of Krishna, word of God, like that you can accept. Go ahead.
There is another nature which is beyond manifestation and non-manifestation. But how will you know that there is a sky where the planets and inhabitants are eternal? All this knowledge is there, but how will you make experiments? It is not possible. Therefore, you have to take the assistance of the Vedas. This is called Vedic knowledge.
Yeah. He's saying all this cannot be researched and experimented, so you have to accept the Vedic knowledge. Now, one more thing I will tell you. In Ramanand Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Samvad, Ramanand Rai is telling Mahaprabhu that for those who are neophytes, they have to just be told the truth. Because explanations will not be understandable to them. Therefore, they should be told the truth flatly. This is the truth, you just accept it, that's all. Because if you give more explanation, they will get more confused. For example, you teach a newcomer about breaking a lesser rule for a greater rule. Do you think they'll understand? You have to tell a flat rule. For example, you have a road where they put a board, a 30 km/h speed. And then one fellow is driving his car, attending to a mobile call. And then he's knocking down all the scooters and the two-wheelers on the side of the road. Pat. And the traffic police comes running and saying, hey, what are you doing? He's knocking down, sir, my speed is not beyond 30. Because you put to the board, I am following it. So what is he following? Letter of the law. He's following the letter of the law, but not spiritual. So why that board is put 30 km per hour? Because in that road, there are a lot of people who have parked their vehicles outside. They are going to offices and all. They have to go a bit slow. So this fellow is following the external rule, letter of the law, but he is not following the spirit of the law, correct? No? On the other hand, another person has come to know, why this policy is made. Policy is made because, people and the vehicle should not be knocked down. Police just now told it. Don't knock out the police. Don't knock out the people and the vehicles. So that fellow takes the vehicle. So like that, he goes very fast. And he's caught by the police. And he tells the police, see, I might have gone fast, but I didn't knock anybody down. No vehicles are knocked, no people are knocked. Although I went, because I know the spirit of the law. Because you told me, why the policy? Correct, no? What is the basis of the policy? You told me, I understood it. Then the police tells him, are you fool? You drove so fast, all people ran to the side. So you didn't knock anybody. So they say. So out of the two fellows, who is right? Both are wrong. So the first one followed which one? Letter. The second one followed. But what you should follow? Both you have to follow. Letter of the law and spirit of the law. Both you have to follow. So therefore, when we are talking to because these people don't know, bending the law, breaking a lesser law for a greater law. These kind of things are not digestible. So therefore, the Vedas sometimes tell flat rules. Flat rules means you just do this. That's all. It says, what is that verse? Eva vigachet. One verse is there. No, that is another verse. Tasmat gurum prapadyate jigyasu shayavatam shabde parachanishnatam brahmani upasamashtam. That's another verse. Tad vijnanartam sagurum yevabi gachet. Gachet is an affirmative statement. Yevabi gachet means one must accept a spiritual master. So here it doesn't say one can consider accepting a spiritual master. It doesn't say there's no consideration. You have to do it. And there are many statements like this in Vedas you will find, where it says that one should nirdishet, one should do like this, one should not do this. Like that they say. Because Vedas know very well that some people, there's no point giving explanation, or are they going to immediately understand. It will require many, many years of practical involvement and service. Therefore, they say they do. So those who are intelligent put faith in the Vedas. They will just close their eyes and follow. And then they will look back and see, I followed it and I achieved this result. Even without having to know each and every detailed explanation. But now what has happened? Even a very new devotee joining ashram is asking, Prabhu, if an authority is telling me to do this, am I allowed to seek clarification? That's what the beginning. Am I allowed to seek clarification means, am I allowed to say, no, I won't do? Correct? No? So, actually, if you learn the art of doing, then over a period of time, when you look back, you will see it is good for you. For example, we are making a principle that everybody should come on time for the morning. And everybody should sleep early. Somebody says, Prabhu, why do you say we have to sleep early? I'll sleep at 11, but I'll get up at 4. Is that not? You basically want me to come for Mangalarti. I'll be there Mangalarti, I won't miss, but I'll study till 11. One fellow was arguing. So there are people like that. So then what happens? You keep arguing, it doesn't get better for you. You may sleep at 11 and get up at 4. Is it good for health? It's not good. Then your health collapses. Then you are going to doctor, taking the temple vehicle several times, going, coming. So therefore the Vedas say that when something is told for your good, you just follow it. Yeah. And then when you follow it, in the long run, it will come out good for you. Go ahead, read it further.
In our Krishna consciousness movement, we are accepting knowledge from the highest authority, Krishna. Krishna is accepted as the highest authority by all classes of men. I am speaking first of the two classes of transcendentalists. One class of transcendentalists is called impersonalistic Mayavadi. They are generally known as Vedantis, led by Shankaracharya. And there are transcendentalists called Vaishnavas, like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami. Both the Shankar Sampradaya and the Vaishnava Sampradaya have accepted Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead.
For example, there are personalities in like Madhusudan Vachaspati from Varanasi, Shankara Sampradaya. You will see he says, Krishnat Param Kimapi Tattvam Aham na jane. He says, Krishnat Param, beyond Krishna, Kimapi Tattvam, any truth, Aham na jane. He says, there is no, I cannot. Similarly, Shankara wrote one Bhashyam to Vishnu Sahasranam. That is a big history behind it. What happened once? He had kept on the table, Lalita Sahasranamam, in order to write a Bhashyam for that. So Lalita Sahasranam is about Devi, So next day morning when he came to his desk, he found Vishnu Sahasranam. So he called one of the disciples and said, I don't know who has changed it. And the disciple said, Guruji, nobody came in this room. It is your hut. Nobody will come inside without your permission. So he said, okay, keep this in the cupboard and bring my Lalita Sahasranam. So this happened 3 times. Night he would keep it and go And morning he would get up and see that will be changed. And this door of the hut is latched. Who will come inside? 3 times it was changed. And third time when he saw Vishnu Sahasranam, he decided to write Bhashyam for the same. So he wrote the Bhashyam. So when he wrote the commentary, in that he writes in one of the places that Krishna is Paratpara Tattvam, he writes. Paratpara means, Paratattvam means Brahman. Paratpara Tattva means that which is even the source of Brahman. 14.27 says Brahmanohi Pradishta. So when his disciples saw that, they were shocked. He is writing, he have been always hearing that Brahman is ultimate, Supreme Brahman. Now he is saying this Krishna Paramatma is also is writing. How do we understand it? So then amongst them there was a big halla-gulla, lot of discussion. Why our Acharya has gone little away from our Advaita philosophy, Advaita Siddhanta. Then they had to give an explanation. Everybody in India was catching them. Why your Acharya is saying like this? So you know what they said? Our Acharya has become carried away by Bhakti Paravash, in which he wrote Krishna is superior to Brahman also. Like that they said. You will find in one of the Bhashyams, you can read that, you will see that. So therefore also Prabhupada will often quote one quote of Shankara, which is Narayana Paro Avyaktat. That one, which means Lord Narayana is beyond the material creation. It's transcendental. So Prabhupada will quote that. And then similarly he says about Madhvacharya, Ramanacharya. Needless to say about this Vaishnavas. Yeah, go ahead. I showed you this. I'll show you one more thing here. I showed you this.
அதனால எல்லாரும் பகவானுடைய நாமத்தை உச்சாரம் பண்ண வேண்டியது. நான் சொல்றேன், அது எல்லாரும் சொல்லணும். ஹரே ராம ஹரே ராம 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 ஹரே 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 கிருஷ்ண 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 ஹரே 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 ராம 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 ஹரே 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 கிருஷ்ண 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 ஹரே 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 ராம 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 ஹரே 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 கிருஷ்ண 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 ஹரே ஹரே. இந்த நாமத்துக்கு ரொம்ப மகிமை சாஸ்திரத்தில் சொல்லுது. நாம் எத்தனையோ பாபங்கள் பண்றோம். அந்த பாபங்கள் எல்லாம் இந்த நாமத்தை நாம் சொன்னோமானால் அது நீங்கும். அந்த பாபங்கள் எல்லாம் நீங்கிறதுக்கு வேறு எந்த வழியும் நமக்கு கிடையாது. இந்த நாமோச்சாரம் ஒன்றுதான் வழி. அதனால இந்த நாமத்தை உச்சாரம் பண்ணினால் நம்ம பாபங்களும் நீங்கும், நமக்கு நல்லதும் ஆகும். எல்லாத்துக்கும் இதுதான் மூலம். எல்லோரும் இந்த உண்மையை தெரிந்து தினந்தோறும் உங்க வாழ்க்கையில் ஒரு 10 நிமிஷம் பகவான் எதிர்த்து உட்கார்ந்து கொண்டு இந்த நாமத்தை சொல்லி பகவானை பிரார்த்தனை பண்ணும்போது உங்களுக்கு எல்லா விதமான க்ஷேமம் உண்டாகட்டும் என்று உங்களுக்கு ஆசீர்வாதம் பண்ணும். நம் ஹரணா பார்வதீவதையே.
See, you saw. Amazing, no? So you will find that's what Prabhupada is saying. Even in the Shankar Sampradaya, they chant this mantra, correct? No? And he's telling everybody to chant. They are propagating it. So in this way, go ahead further. You know that verse, no? Ekam, what is it? Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam. Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. And Eko Mantra Tasya Namani Yani Karmapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. You know these 4 lines, no? First one is Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam is which one? Bhagavad Gita. And Eko Devo is Krishna. Eko Mantra is Harikrishna Mantra. Just now he sang, you saw, no? And then Karma Pyaka means one activity is devotion service. So this is from our Shankaracharya's Gita Mahatmya. So not only Shankara wrote Gita Mahatmya, here you can see they are propagating the mantra, you can see that. So therefore Prabhupada is saying it is acceptable by all these powerful acharyas. Go ahead.
Shankaracharya is supposed to be an impersonalist who preached impersonalism, impersonal Brahman, but it is a fact that he is a covered personalist. In his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, he wrote, Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond this cosmic manifestation.
Narayana Parabhyaktat, this is the one, yeah.
And then again, he confirmed that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, is Krishna. He has come as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. He particularly mentioned the names of his father and mother. So Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by all transcendentalists. There is no doubt about it. Our source of knowledge in Krishna consciousness is the Bhagavad Gita, which comes directly from Krishna. We have published Bhagavad Gita as it is because we accept Krishna as he is speaking, without any interpretation. That is Vedic knowledge. Since the Vedic knowledge is pure, we accept it. Whatever Krishna says, we accept. This is Krishna consciousness. That saves much time. If you accept the right authority or source of knowledge, then you save much time. For example, there are two systems of knowledge in the material world.
So what is deductive and inductive? What is deductive, what is inductive in Sanskrit? Deductive is avarohan and inductive is arohan. So Prabhupada is explaining that. So one example he gives, your father says man is mortal, sister says man is mortal, everyone says man is mortal, but you don't experiment. You accept it as a fact that man is mortal. Why? Because since the dawn of creation, you have not seen anybody living for thousands of years. Is there anybody whose name is missed out in the computer of Yamaraj that he's still roaming around for the last 1,000 years? Any of you have seen anybody like that? Not a single person. So we can safely accept that in our observation, every human being who has taken birth, eventually will get old and they have to leave their body. Everybody is a mortal, correct? No? Any of you have any doubts about this point? So I don't think everybody is mortal. I think somebody will be there who has never died. Do you think like that? Except the Chiranjeevis which Shastras have prescribed, correct? No? Some 6-7 people. Otherwise, everybody else is a mortal. We have seen that. Yes, go ahead.
From deductive, you accept that man is mortal.
And then he says the same thing. You don't experiment. And then coming below, he says here that you can come below, way below. So in this way, your research will never be finished if you want to research yourself. In Sanskrit, this process is called aroha, or ascending process. If you want to attain knowledge by any personal endeavor, by exercising your imperfect senses, you will never come to the right conclusion. That's not possible. For example, you want to find who your father is. You don't trust your mother. You want to find out your father. Then there's something called a genetic fingerprint. The genetic fingerprint could take you 800 years. They say, and after 800 years, you will get 200 people, men, out of which one of them will be father. And that you don't know who it is. And in that lot, there will be one person who is likely to be your father, like that. So that means even with science, even after 800 years also, you can't pinpoint only one person as your father. Imagine out of 200, two of them come and say, I am your father. What are you going to do? So which means, it practically means you cannot. Therefore, for all practical purposes, to accept who your father is, you trust your mother. Correct, no? Yeah. In the same manner, Vedas are mother and Krishna is father and we are children. So we come to know from the Vedas who is Bhagavan. Therefore, based on that, we are accepting. And our acceptance, is it reasonable or is it blind faith, if you ask? It's reasonable for various reasons, I told you today. One reason it is reasonable is Acharyas. Like Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya. These are all Acharyas who are extremely exalted. So they have confirmed the truth, so we accept. And another thing I told you also, even with your empirical senses. See, Pratyaksha can be used for serving Shabda. As a servant of Shabda we can use. For example, 25 items I told you. Compare Vedic versus modern. And after seeing all these 25 fit very well for the Vedic, then you understand. Actually, you will never find Vedic having any problem. It is completely foolproof. Any field you take, it has always, in case there is some problem in the Vedic thing, that problem is created by man only. You see that. Otherwise, the Vedas don't give you any method which will be harmful. So, therefore, when once faith becomes very firm, then one can accept the Avarohan Pant. And then he is giving example of Brahma Samhita. You know the famous verse? Pantastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayo ratapi manaso munipungabhanam sopyasti yat prapadasimya vichintya tatve govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. So he's not talking about Muni, he's talking about Muni Pungava. Muni Pungava means leaders of the Munis. Who are capable of traveling at the speed of mind. Very fast. They have siddhis. And such personalities, at the most they can see the shining toenail of Krishna. It is said, nothing beyond that. Yeah. So that is what Prabhupada explains more elaborately there. Therefore, the Vedic injunction is that one must approach the word. The word compulsory is used. The bona fide spiritual master. What was that verse you all said? Tad Vijnanartham. Yeah, Tad Vijnanartham. If you want to gain that great science of spiritual life, Sagurum Evabhigachet, it says. So then it says that he must be practically firmly established in Brahman. These are the two qualities. Otherwise, he is not bona fide. One should accept the Guru and one should be firmly situated. Actually, the Guru must be firmly situated in Brahman, he says, which means he himself should have heard in Parampara and he should be firmly fixed in God. Both. And then Prabhupada says, the next para, the actual aim of Vedic research is to find out Krishna. Yeah. And Brahma Samhita he quotes, they are not like our forms, which are fallible. His form is Anadi, no beginning, no end, it's Ananta. And then he gives example. My form is sitting in the apartment here and not in my apartment there, another place. You are sitting there and not in your apartment. But Krishna can be everywhere at one time. He can sit down in Goloka, same time he is everywhere. Goloka Nivasati, Akhilatma Bhuto. He can be in every atom. He can expand himself into 16,108 forms of Dwarkadish, correct now? With each queen he is present in Dwarka. That is his ability. Yeah. And his original, he says, Adyam. And his oldest, Purana Purusham. But whenever you look at the picture of Krishna, you will find him a young boy of 15 to 20 years old. Navayavvanam cha. See, he's simply translating in English, he's putting same thing. You see? Adyam, they all repeat this. Adyam, Purana Purusham, Navayavvanam cha. So Adyam means what? Is the original. Adyam. The word Adi is a very important word in the Vedic literature. Like you will find, he says, no? Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham, Shashvatam, Divyam, Adi Devam. You are not one of the devatas. Who are you? Adi Deva. Similarly, she says, Namasye Purusham tu Adyam. Same word. Again. Similarly, the Nagapatnis. Tvameva Vadyah Purusha Purana. They are saying. You are the Adi Purusha. They are also saying. Many places you will find this word Adi coming. So, therefore, he is saying, the Lord is Adi Purusha. He is the original. And he is a Puranam. Oldest. Generally, when you think he is the oldest, he must have the longest beard. Longest beard, and he must be old man. But Navayavvanam cha, he says. Always young. Yeah, and then Prabhupada saying, you have seen pictures of Krishna. He had even great grandchildren, but never becomes old. Yeah. Prabhupada saying, and if you want to search out Krishna by studying Vedic literature, then you will be baffled. It may be possible, but it is very difficult. But you can very easily learn about him from his devotee. Who is the devotee? Prabhupada only. His devotee can deliver him to you. Krishna, what is that? Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro. Tomara shakati ache. Here he is, take him, like the Prabhupada says. That's the potency of Krishna's devotees. Now read for the Prabhu.
Originally, there was only one Veda, and there was no necessity of reading it. People were so intelligent and had such sharp memories that by once hearing from the lips of the spiritual master, they would understand. They would immediately grasp the whole purport. But 5,000 years ago, Vyasadeva put the Vedas in writing for the people in this age, Kali Yuga.
Yeah, correct. So he felt the Kali Yuga is starting now. Better put it all down in writing. Actually, Vyasadeva called his disciples and divided the Vedas into 4 because he felt that Vedas are too exhaustive and the people will not be able to comprehend. So, like grouping sometimes helps. Like all the Vedic verses that we sung, they are in like Samaveda. You will find. Similarly, you will find Atharva Veda contains many, like I showed you, mundane, helpful hints for the living being, like Ayurveda and things like that. Practical things. So he grouped them all separately. So 4 acharyas he made next. So they also, after dividing, then they processed it and then they gave it down the line for people. Yeah. And then he's quoting the names of them, okay. And then Stri Shudra Dvija Bandhunam, Trainam Iti Kochara, it says, no, that they can't understand all this Vedic literature. For them, he wrote Mahabharata, correct, no? Yeah, it's called the History of India, 18 Puranas, yeah. Actually, Mahabharata pastimes are very easy for the common people to hear with great interest for various reasons. In Mahabharata, there is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha is explained. And also in the Mahabharata, there is politics. There are quarrels between brothers. And also there is a man-woman problem where Draupadi is brought to the Satsabha and disturbed in the public. So there are many such incidents in that. So many common people also take interest in reading Mahabharata. But in Mahabharata, Vedavyas highlighted Charanagati to Krishna when Draupadi was in trouble. He highlighted the Bhagavad Gita when the battlefield is starting. Correct, no? So in Mahabharata, there are transcendental items also. Along with studying Mahabharata, some living entities may come to those portions and then capture some amount of spirituality. Likely, very likely. So, but because the common masses, they can't understand the Upanishadic kind of analysis. Upanishads do a lot of analytical study, and Vedanta is even more tough than Upanishads also. If you read Upanishads also, you will find, you will get bored only after some time, because there is only one subject, how the Sat is different from Asat. Not to establish it, it goes round and round. So if you just read one Upanishad, you will see that, verses and translation. So somebody can go to sleep by reading that. But why Jnanis find it very interesting? There is a reason for that. Because the karma kandis are those who want to go to heaven. And then they go to heaven, and then Shina Punya Martula Commission, they come back. But the people who understand that it's all suffering in this world, they want to go beyond this world. So they are put in the Jnana Kanda bush. So if you tell them that God is so simple, who is playing on his flute, surrounded by cows, you go back to Goloka and be happy, they can't accept it. It's not so easy for them. So the Vedas are very intelligent. When a person has been a thorough materialist before, now he wants liberation, moksha. Moksha has to be presented in something very mysterious and fascinating way. They say, oh, God is, anirvachaniya, and he is very beyond the description, he is not like the ordinary mundane form like in this world. So they give such kind of description, which is very, if you read the Upanishads, you find that about. So they are very mysterious type of discussion. So that is very intriguing to them. And it's not much practical. It is more theoretical. Then you come to Upasana Kanda. There is worship of Krishna, Upasana. So therefore, Prabhupada is saying here, go ahead, read it, wherever you left. Okay, after this Mahabharata, it says that these are all part of Vedic literature, the Puranas, Mahabharata, 4 Vedas, Upanishads, and they are part of the Vedas, okay. Vyasa personally wrote Vedanta Sutra, he says. This is very important, Vedanta Sutra. See, Mahabharata, it's having like sometimes you get a Son Papdi packet, the box is very big, inside only 4 pieces are there. You experience sometimes? Correct? No, you ask, hey, what happened? You ask, Prabhuji, devotees have finished it. They say, only little is left like that. Box is very attractive. Similarly, Mahabharata also you'll find, the box is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. It's a big box. When you open it inside, they get very little direct devotional service. Very little you get. But the beauty of Bhagavatam is, in the case of Bhagavatam, the box itself is a Swanbhavdi. There is no, because Dharma, Projita. It's a Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha is kicked out right from the beginning. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha is the package, So Bhagavatam doesn't give any package only, directly the product. So it's called as a Nigama Kalpataror. Kalitam Phalam is like ripe fruit, it's like complete big Swanbhavdi, big piece. You are wondering, is it a box or is it such a big Swanbhavdi you have never seen before? That's Bhagavatam is like that. You can just break from any side and eat it. It's like that. So therefore he is saying Vedanta Sutra. So when Veda Vyas wrote Vedanta, at that time he thought that, hey, this Vedanta is actually supposed to be very simple sutras. Like Adata Brahma Jignasa, Raso Vesaha and all. But now people can take these sutras. See, what is a sutra like? All of you have experience when you study any subject. From the book you make your own notes. From the notes you make sutra notes, correct no? And that notes you carry to the exam hall. And one leg inside the hall, one leg outside. That is the time you see the sutras, correct no? And then you have to put the notebook down and then you go for the exam, correct no? Inside. So because by seeing the sutras you remember a lot of things, correct no? That's the whole idea. So he also made sutras like this. Veda Anta means end of Vedas. But then he saw that after writing the Vedanta Sutra, he became very morose. You all know that past time. So also he felt that the future people can take Vedanta Sutra and give a misinterpretation to that also. Correct, no? So ultimately he decided, based on his guidance by Narada, that I will only write a to Vedanta Sutra. So it's called Bhashyam Brahma Sutra now. That means the person who wrote the book, he also made the notes also. Book and the notes, both he made. That is Veda Vyas. And then go ahead further. That's a long story, Prabhupada says, yeah.
Vyasadeva personally wrote the Vedanta Sutra under the instructions of Narada, his Guru Maharaj, spiritual master. But still he was not satisfied. That is a long story described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Vedvyas was not very satisfied even after compiling many Puranas and Upanishads, and even after writing the Vedanta Sutra. Then his spiritual master Narada instructed him to explain the Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta means ultimate knowledge, and the ultimate knowledge is Krishna. Krishna says that throughout all the Vedas, one has to
understand. Yeah, Vedashya
Sarvai.
Veda Vedanta Krit Veda Videva Chaham. Yeah. Go ahead. Therefore, the ultimate objective is Krishna. That is explained in all the Vaishnava commentaries on Vedanta philosophy. We Gaudiya Vaishnavas have our commentary on Vedanta philosophy called Govinda Bhashya by Baldev Vidyabhushan. Similarly, Ramacharya has a commentary and Madhvacharya has one. The version of Shankaracharya is not the only commentary. But why Shankaracharya commentary became popular? Because that was the first commentary. He had written, and after that other people had written commentary, but because people generally, when Westerners come to India, when they want a Vedanta, they go to Shankara commentary and they get bewildered. Yes.
There are many Vedanta commentaries, but because the Vaishnavas did not present the first Vedanta commentary, people are under the wrong impression that Shankaracharya's is the only Vedanta commentary. Besides that, Vyasadeva himself wrote the perfect Vedanta commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the first word of the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadi Asya Yataha, and that Janmadi Asyatah is fully explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vedanta Sutra simply hints at what is Brahman, the absolute truth. The absolute truth is that from whom everything emanates. This is a summary, but it is explained in detail in Srimad Bhagavatam. If everything is emanating from the absolute truth, then what is the nature of the absolute truth?
That is explained in subsequent line. Janmadesya Anvaya Itaratas Charteshu Abhignya. Abhignya means he's fully knowledgeable about it, directly, indirectly. And then it says Swarat means he is fully independent. He's not controlled by anyone or anything. So in this way, the absolute truth nature is explained in the Bhagavatam more in detail than in Vedanta Sutra also. Yeah. Like for example, Vedanta Sutra tells you Rasovai Saha, that's all. Rasanyevayam Ladva Anandi Bhavati, as it says. Which means Anandi Bhavati means the Jiva becomes Anandi by associating with Rasaraj. But it doesn't say how. Whereas Bhagavatam says how. The 10th canto elaboration. How the Jivas are, coward boys are going with Krishna to the forest. How the gopis dance with Krishna and all that. Correct, no? So Bhagavatam is an elaboration of Vedanta Sutra. And also the Smritis, they describe the explanation of Vedanta Sutra more elaborately in detail. Yeah. Yes. So Prabhupada says same thing. Swarat, he says. And then he's self-effulgent. The whole summary of the Vedic knowledge is Vedanta Sutra, and Vedanta Sutra is explained by the writer himself, Srimad Bhagavatam. We finally request those who are actually after Vedic knowledge to try to understand the explanation of all Vedic knowledge from Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. Like the Prabhupada is requesting. Everybody read Bhagavad Gita. So in the next class, I can talk about invocation. We start with invocation prayer and we'll proceed with mantra 1. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna devotees. So was the speed okay, Prabhus?
Yes, bro.
Yes,
It's
Prabhuji.
okay, na. It was not very fast. It was feeling normal, right? Because I don't want devotees to like miss the speed of Prabhuji or the accent, or fast accent, or the reading, right? Okay, so by this we will be able to complete on time because the lectures are you saw it almost 1 hour 30 minutes lecture, so we don't have that much time allotted. So and everyone has to go for office also, so there is a limitation. So one thing I would just wanted to ask everyone, so there are total 30 lectures of Isopanishad, and if we go at the speed that we are going, like 2 lectures per week, then it will take almost 4 months or maybe little more than that. So is it okay if we do 3 days a week? One day we can choose a weekend, maybe Saturday or Sunday. That I'll just ask everyone which one is okay. We'll skip the holidays where there are festivals. Okay, like there is Jagannath Rath Yatra in many places on Saturday or Sunday, so we'll not do it this weekend. But if you are all okay, I'll just put a poll also in the group that if it's possible, how many people are ready for Saturday or Sunday every week. So Saturday it becomes 3 days in a week, and by this we can complete this in 2.5 months only. Because this is recorded, we have the freedom to choose the frequency of lectures. Right? We are not dependent currently on the availability of teacher Prabhuji. Okay. So I'll put a poll. So please give your opinion on that if that's okay to have on one. So just one similar like 1.5 hours or 1 hour 15 minutes on Saturday or Sunday, depending on whichever is like not so much filled up with any festival or something, some appearance, disappearance days. Okay. Based on that, we'll decide. It will be preferably in the afternoon so that devotees if they want they can go to the temple and attend morning program, so we'll not disturb that schedule so that they can attend the whole morning program on Saturday Sunday in on weekend if they have any plans. Generally after lunch devotees are generally free, so we'll choose one time. I'll give out a poll, uh, and then evening also if they have other programs like preaching programs or they want to go out somewhere, then they can do. Generally people don't go out in the afternoon after lunch, they generally tend to take rest. So I don't know if I'll be like posing to disturb the day rest that devotees are planning on Saturday or Sunday. But just a thought. Let me know on the poll. I'll put a poll later. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.